Hello and welcome, Feudalists and Corehavenites. Today we're going to be talking about Feudal Arden. As you know, the game is right now in the CBT testing phases. We're going to have a small presentation about the updates, the improvements, the fixes, the bugs that have been going around in CBT, and the biggest changes between this version and the Goodland 3. We based ourselves in the patch notes and everything that has been released, but we added some notes along the way to let you know some extra details, Outpost production, PvE, PvP stuff. We haven't made a video in like 8 months, and something has changed since we came back from CBT. The Guild Corehaven that we used to be allied with has basically taken us and the Retrievers under their wing, and we're now fighting alongside our brothers. The UA's YouTube channel has been changed to Corehaven Exilize. The channel stays the same. The videos from the UA time are still there, so if you want to check them. The closed beta is supposed to close somewhere between 5 to 10 days. We don't know how long this is going to last. After this, there's going to be potentially a pause, potentially no, and the OBT, the early launch would come into effect, and 2 days later, the full wide server release for everyone is going to be released. Don't forget to buy your OBT pre-order the OBT in case you want to play those 48 hours before the full map release for everybody. Let's dive into it. So the biggest difference that we've had from Gunland is that there's a separation between the green zone and the red zone. So the big wide map, it's like a 7x7. Right now the green zone is pretty much a one server, but I believe it's going to be 5x5 or something of the sorts on full release. The devs have not invested a lot into it this time around because they wanted to fix, they wanted testing to occur more in the red zone, and then whatever changes apply to the green zone, those would be handled. They're offline servers that separate both for potentially future expansions and whatnot. Those are not seen here, but this is full of, it's impassable from one side to the other because the servers are, as soon as you swim out, the game is going to disconnect you because the servers are not actually activated. But there is possibility to expand this map later on from the dev side. And you spawn in the green zone. Everybody spawns in the green zone, but you have the whole totem that you teleport either to your guild or to different zones. We're going to go to talk about that later. The Traveler's Hider basically allows you to come to the red zone, and that's a default set point. So if you are not bound to a house or MOP or a keep, you get sent back to the green zone. But careful, because you're going to be locked there for a while. You cannot be porting all the time. I believe it's 2 days, but somebody please do correct me in comments if I'm wrong about that. There is no item transfer between the green and red zones, so although your character can come back and forth, I guess, you cannot actually send items or do any trade. We're going to talk about how trade is going to work because it's a little bit different now, but that's one of the biggest changes. So there is no production in the red zone or green zone that can be crossed over, or guilds cannot go there, produce stuff, and bring it back to the main server, the red zone, or vice versa. So you cannot bring the best seeds out of the red zone and go plant them safely on the green zone. So that's one of the biggest changes that is going to come around with Arden. The terrain does seem much smoother, so for horse riding and all that shenanigan, the terrain has been a little more flat out, so there's not insane cliffs, or there's some insane cliffs next to the water, but like then the rest of the territory, the plateaus are really nicely optimized for riding. There's a lot of less collisions with the map and terrain and all that stuff. They also fixed a bit of the collisions with the palisades, with trees and all that stuff. So horses are definitely back on the menu, boys. The central Knool camp is something that they've created this time around. So there is Knool camp spread out around the map. We have known the location of a few of them already, but the central Knool camp seems to have the biggest mob density, especially the high quality bosses from the Chieftain and Bears. Like they're a lot more concentrated in the central Knool camp. This central Knool camp is in server 64. So this blocker guild you see here, there is like a huge blue area around it that people cannot build. That's why you see so many guilds like pretty much on the perimeter of that, so they can get the closest to the Knool camp. But this Knool camp itself, it's a one trade post that you can go there and trade, and then you have like the 3/5 of the Knool camp itself separated from the trade post, and basically there is 2 chieftains, a couple of bears, a lot of witches, a lot of rangers, a few Knool moles, but it's definitely the most profitable Knool camp that we've seen until now. So we've cleared a few of them. We're going to be making videos on a new player versus Knool series as we go along. Do check those out if you want help sorting the Knool camps and all that stuff. But this central Knool camp does have a high risk, high reward, kind of both PvP and PvE opportunity, because you basically always have a chance to get ganked. You can see the amount of guilds that are around it, but also other people that are not from guilds around here, they will still come to do it and they'll try to gank you and get your goodies, so be sure to be safe and well, watch our PvP videos when they do come out if you are a bit newer to the game. There's no alignment lost in this area, so it's pretty much free-for-all smacky, even if the people are not your enemies per se. The trade posts sometimes have as rare items, so in the launch there's a couple of horses, both couriers and war horses, and the mates who had more gold were able to buy them even before the apples were in season and stuff like that. So we'll talk about this trade post in a bit, because trade posts did change a bit, but yeah, so pay attention to what is being sold there, because the devs will sometimes, I'm not sure if it was only for CBT or if that's a recurring thing that's going to occur, but do check it out. The rivers and the seabeds are much deeper, so it's going to be really hard to traverse them without swimming. One of my hopes as a player is definitely that we get some bridges that can be controlled in certain sites. For example, in this previous map, like, our base is north of the main map, and like the only way for us to get to Knool camp and from the Knool camp is pretty much swimming, and it's really hard to swim over Burden and with all them goodies and whatnot. So yeah, I hope the devs do somehow manage to get to a bridge that, I don't know, maybe it's brokeable and then it repairs itself after a while, or something that allows us to cross. I understand the depth of it and they don't want us to feel it and do water bases. That's completely acceptable and something that the game should promote. But not having ways to cross between servers, it does put everybody in NA, China, and Australia, which are the northern servers, at a bit of a disadvantage without being able to cross into there. The ground has changed a bit, so one of the things I've noticed a lot playing this new version of the game is that sometimes we have a tiny 0.1 covering of dirt above a lot of surfaces, and as soon as you dig out that dirt, below there is like either rock, iron, brimstone, limestone. This is good and it's all spread out all around the map, but sometimes it's also a bit complicated. For example, if you're trying to make outposts 30 by 13 or something, and then you start digging around and then suddenly you realize one of the corners is mined, so you have to mine it, dig it out, and then collapse it, and then dig it out again. The problem right now is that collapsing is taking 2 minutes, so that's a bug that has been reported, which is definitely gonna promote outposts being completely surrounded by mines, because if it takes 2 minutes to collapse one single square and you have a lot of squares to collapse, it's gonna be kind of counterintuitive, because in the past they have indeed changed the mines to be much faster collapsible. If you have 90 or 100 mining, or even 60, it will, from 30 seconds it will become 15 and then 12 or something like that, and it makes mine collapsing much more accessible. Right now I have 97 mining and I still take 2 minutes, exactly 2 minutes to collapse every single square, which is really annoying if you're doing building projects. It's annoying if you're going to invade an outpost and they have like 5 layers of mines that you have to collapse through. It's really complicated, but basically this allows guilds to establish anywhere in the map, because you have resources all over the place. Some of the resources can still be seen from the minimap from above, but some others are just, dig around. Don't delve as deep as the dwarves, be careful about that. It should be pretty much straightforward finding resources near most of the spots and wherever you're located. The regional resources like brimstone, rock salt, limestone, and gypsum are no longer region locked, so you can find them everywhere. This can be a little bit tricky at the beginning because you don't know where stuff is, so I posted a couple of pictures of all the coloring of both rock salt and both brimstone and gypsum. I'll look in the map right now. The other two, you do have to find them by digging a little bit and then going underneath. Like for example, the 0.1, you can find brimstone right and rock salt right at the surface of at 0.2 when you dig, but to find those mines sometimes is going to be tricky. You're going to definitely find them when you start doing some projects around the base, but do keep an eye out for those. So there is a smaller difference between the current green zone and the future green zone. So it being smaller is pretty much to focus the test on the red zone, but at the same time It's already kind of developed, as you can see here from the map. This is a zoomed-in picture of the current green zone status. A lot of people already going around and building their own castles and whatnot there. The trees have changed since Golden 2, so there is a little bit of a problem with the cache of the trees. And so, even though you see the trees in the minimap, sometimes those regions that does not necessarily mean they're trees. These trees they have planned on release, but they had problems with some of the servers with regards to the tree cache. So it was taking too much space. They had to, tone it down a little bit, and basically until now the natural tree growth is pretty much stunned. So there is no new trees that are growing besides the player-based trees. That is going to be fixed by the OBT launch, from what I understand and what we have been told. But for this time being, they basically do have a lot of problems with that. The increased spawn rates have been increased for the CBT. So a bird should take 24 hours, 48 hours to grow. An oak will take 2 days or something like that. There is also a decay problem. So because they grow faster, it's basically the life cycle of the trees have been increased. So be sure that you sprout them when you can, even if you're not replanting them, because they might be gone in a couple of weeks, depending on the tree cycle itself of the particular tree. Normal growth rates will definitely come back by OBT, and that's something that we've been told by the devs. The premium account now, you basically need premium account members for guilds. We're going to be seeing that in a bit, but everybody in CBT has premium. If you, as soon as we go from OBT forward, you do need to buy your premium. There is a couple of differences with regards to you have some XP bonus. The premium people have free upkeeps for the private claims in the green zone. Otherwise, you have to pay a modicum amount for your tiny area. There's a skill action and boost speed, which I'm not sure if it's going to cross over to OBT, but right now we have that in CBT. That might be just to increase the speed of testing. So because we have more stuff, we can produce more, we can test more stuff. I'm not sure if that's gonna go into OBT. That is, as you can see here, the little icon on the right. There's also special name cosmetics and some dashboard highlights. So for example, if you're looking at the guild names, you can basically see the yellow name and the white name. The white name is pretty much a normal member. The yellow name is a premium one. And you also have this little the nameplate cosmetics around it, like the coloring of it. It's golden, denouncing a premium mate. You're gonna need five premium players. This means 10 premium characters in a guild to get it going, but we're gonna get into that in a second. There is a couple of new craftables. So constructions wise, you have like at level 30 you have the stone stockpiles, compost heap, rabbit cage, and ore stockpile. At 60 the grain stockpile and the brick drying frame, and at 90 you have large herbal garden. This above here is the stockpile. This is like a 3v3, the grain stockpile. Both of all types of stockpiles have 15k storage capacities, 15,000 stone capacity, and the normal ones, the iron and the stone, are pretty much 2x2, and the grain is the one that is 3x3, but they're definitely worth it. Space storage wise, they're really good. You can drop this by the mines, you can drop this by the farms, you can have multiple farms with multiple stockpiles. They're not that hard to build, so definitely get to that. The rabbit cage is just a different cheaper kind of coop, but you can only put rabbits in it, and the compost heap apparently accepts the farming goods and some of the farming goods, and basically you can convert them to dung early on. That's a good way to get dung until you get like the good producing large stables and stuff like that. The big drying frame is one of the things that was added, bring drying rack, that allows to do, it's like the big tiny tub but for drying, which definitely, optimizes the procurator's time without having to do 10 drying racks in a row and stuff like that. You can just drop a few of these in your base and you should have that sorted. The large herbal garden, I didn't put any picture of it here, but I don't think right now it's kind of worth it because it's not producing like the same area using the small herbal gardens. You get more stuff and you can control the quality a little bit easier, and by square wise is definitely more efficient than the large herbal garden, but maybe some changes will come to that in the future and we're gonna see it. With regards to masonry buildings, we have the tailor shop that you can see here at the bottom. Sorry, it's a bit palisaded because we had to cover up so people didn't climb it up, but the tailor shop right now is not giving the boost, which we think by OBT it will be giving the boost for tailors. Right now it's pretty much just a building that works as a tailor workbench, I guess. You have the trade post. So the trade post now is an architecture building. We're gonna go talk about why that is, and it's not an outpost anymore. new crafting in carpentry, you have the siege ladder platforms and siege ladders, symbols ladders. Those are really easy to make. You gather a couple of nails, go on the spot, then you get some softwood, some hardwood, and you make this on the enemy's base, and you can basically drop this at any time. So they want to promote, you know, having people around and defending your base and stuff like that. There is this horse drawn card. In the beginning it was a little bit buggy. Sometimes it's still a little bit buggy depending what you are doing with it or the mode that is on. So this card only has 1000 storage space, but it can carry twice as much wood on the side. So that's really good. So instead of the storage in the inventory, you have double the trees that you can put on side, which is definitely good for building outposts and building bases and stuff like that. Carpenters definitely appreciate this one. Character progression early on has been a little bit slowed, but at the end it has been accelerated. So for tier 3s and 4s, 90 to 100, it has been a bit accelerated, but the early ones have been slowed. This is with the new hybrid system, so this means that you're leveling both online and offline. There's a bit of problems with that and a couple of bugs, but now the hybrid system is kind of working, and obviously new players got a bit of boost in this first few days. We're not sure if this boost is going to occur in the OBT as well. Keep an eye out for that. But yep. The build switcher or the personality switch is something that really enticed a lot of players. So this is only for premium players, so if you're a freemium player right now, you don't have this. You just have one character with one stats and one PvP build. But if you are a premium player, you basically can come to your sword. I'm not sure if it's working with allied swords at the moment. It should be working with MOPs, but the MOPs don't have that option, the same way that MOPs don't have the storage option. MOPs right now were supposed to also store 70k materials, but right now they can't. They're looking into that and they'll try to fix it. And this has a 30-minute cooldown though between the switches. So whenever you go there to switch your personality, you need to wait 30 minutes, and then you can do it again. So this is how it looks. This is the combat style. So you can choose between 1 to 5 personalities and 1 to 5 PvP skills. So for example, this is I was playing some Shieldman yesterday with the guild, like getting some PvP practice going, and like my Shieldman has these stats and there's these skills. So whenever I change it, I buy and pack the shovel today. I just go there, click apply, choose which ones I want. Be sure to check both at the same time. You can change both, but if you change one of them, then the other also gets locked by this 30-minute marker. So be sure that, for example, switch to my PvP, get my cavalry basic stat on just to ride the warhorse, and press apply, and then for 30 minutes it will be locked. You can see here on the right hand side, you can see the combat style switch cooldown. So even if you're not by the sword, you can check how much time you have until you can switch it back again. With regards to the guild and judgment hour changes, so the minimum distance between guild monuments has been increased by 3/5. This means that if you have a guild monument in 1/5, you have 1, 2, 3 is the fifth that you can build another sword in. This is gonna become a bit more dynamic for sieges and stuff like that, because they really want to promote the MOPs being used as the front and center conquering or protection mechanism for guilds to use in sieges. The outposts that you build are restricted to main servers only. So if you are, let's say, in any guild and you build your sword there, you cannot build outposts outside of it. So I cannot go to you and drop something like I cannot go to you and drop a mill or a lumber's mill or whatever. It must be within my server. Whatever happens, however far you can stretch your base and go to the server edge or something like that is kind of not doable right now. Outposts might need to be built from 5 tiles now. On release it was 10, but now there is 5. There is a little bug that we're gonna see in a second, but some fiefs are messed up, but the devs know about it. They're working to solve it. There's also defensive bonuses that scale by real guild rank. These bonuses don't count in GH. I'm guessing don't count in their own GH, but basically this gives you reduced incoming damage reduction when you're in the guild claim, being it an outpost, being it the sword, being it an MOP, but this doesn't work during GH, so do take attention about that. The bigger the guild is, the less magnitude you'll have. So depending on the rank of your guild, like our guild right now is like somewhere in top 20, so we get a very small magnitude. But if you are in the rank 9, rank 10, you should have like one value almost magnitude, so that's really good to help you defend against stronger guilds and stuff like that. It's a bit of a balancing thingy. So here you can see this is the edge here. This is the edge of this fief. You can see here by the white line. You can count the 5 squares, and basically everywhere inside here you can build your outpost. This is to prevent some of the outpost connectivities and stuff like that used to exist in the past. But sometimes there is a bug. So for example, this is another outpost dropped 1 fief right next to it, and it's still touching our main fief. But it's completely red for us. So this is a known issue. The devs are working on solving it, but we should be able to build an outpost here, kind of like we built here. But everything is red out, and they know about it. So it's one of the issues on their priority list. We're gonna see how fast they can handle it or not. But be sure to keep an eye out. If you're dropping a sword, go next to it and see which places you can drop outposts, because you might be planning to have a certain base layout with outposts and stuff, and they might be blocked, so definitely take that into account. Basically, the trade post now only delivers to itself, if I had to put it simply. So you have to have gold in the trade post to buy something, but then it doesn't get transported to your trade post. So this is one of the biggest things that changed in Goldland. I think back in Bullion days and whatnot, like you had to buy and go there and pick up the goodies, but they kind of rolled that back in this situation of the game. So if I want to buy something from, let's say, trade post 6, trade post 6 in this case is that one I was showing you in the central Knool camp, I'll have some gold there. I can buy the anvil that somebody went to drop there, and basically I have to go pick it up. So I'll buy it from the dev trade post. Everybody else can go there and sell the anvil. Like, I don't know if this anvil was sold by an enemy, a friend. Devs put it here to buy. The devs usually drop good quality stuff, so I'm hoping this was not the devs. But this 24 quality anvil, you basically have to go there and pick it up. There's always the risk involved of like buying something and then you're gonna get ganked there. The same thing with all the trade posts, because some guilds might have the trade posts on the outside, but then you go there, pick it up, the goodies that you bought, and they just wait for you to come and pick it up and then gank you, or they close the trade post off. So be careful with this kind of stuff. Only buy from trade posts you trust and that you know you can get in and get out safely. Don't forget to keep an eye on out for the trade post 6. I'm not sure in the next iteration if it's going to be trade post 6 as well for the devs, but if it is, as soon as you figure out which one it is, you definitely should keep an eye out for it and try to farm some gold to get those goodies. Those goodies really helped. Getting like 2-3 horses that we got in the beginning really helped moving around, and go take more horses later, and as soon as apple season started. The outpost itself has been rebalanced for manual gathering. What does this mean? It gives you different boosts. We're going to go over some of them, and they also have changed the outpost both wheels and production types of stuff they do. And you can build trade posts both in the green zones, red zones, and you can also build them inside your base. You can have 3 trade posts if you want. They just need to be inside the guild. I mean, not to decay, I guess. They have to be inside the guild area, and they just work as a normal warehouse. The rest of functionalities, the storage, the selling and buying is pretty much the same as back in the Golden days, but yeah, keep an eye on that for that. So right now, we tested a couple of outposts. So for example, the foresters are giving fibers, branches, berries, mushrooms, flint, and taproots. Some of the stuff is new. I put some of the values here, what they do. They do have a gathering wield output increased. Some more testing we need to do with this, but they do increase the output wield. This has been confirmed with one of the dev teammates. The knackery gives a skill boost 20 more in production, not output wield from what we know, just skill raised. So in here it does say skill raised gathering, but the output should be increased as well. But in these cases we have not verified that this does happen, so it's only a base skill raise from 1.65, but the quality, for example, our forges is a little bit higher, so we actually got 190 instead of 165, so the quality of the outpost itself will influence this. Putting slaves or not in the outpost doesn't affect this magnitude of the skills that it gives you, but it's like basically for most outposts we feel like it's using a smaller version of an outfit, right, for that particular area. So the new knackery produces 1 thick leather, 2 game meat, 7 bones as a level 1. It produces also pork, intestines, thin leather, mutton, white meat and beef, in case your cooks are looking for that. The MILF outpost has been changed, so it does give skill raise for household, cooking and farming, but now it doesn't produce all of the goodies that it used to do before, the cabbages, the carrots and all that stuff. Now it only produces flour, crushed oats, white flour, and rye flour. This is a bit of a change, and the farmers and cooks are not sure if this is a beautiful change or not. Like it helps a lot, but I mean it's a mill, so it makes sense to mill stuff, right? To make this kind of flowery stuff. But at the same time, losing access to getting high quality cabbages and onions and all that stuff early on, it's going to be a big change to the game, and farming definitely needs some love. I hope the devs will watch this video and somehow help the farmers a little bit. I know they're passing a bad time currently with how slow it is to level. You need 6 months to almost a year to get everything to 100, and not even to talk about vines. The herbalist outpost is pretty much the same as it used to be, but now it boosts also herbalism and alchemy. And the quarry boosts material processing, also gives 3 shaped granite, 3 shaped rock, and then 26 clay and 26 sand. This production means numbers are basically for the quality of the outpost itself. So if the outpost had a bit more quality, it will produce a little bit more. So we don't have the cap numbers because right now we don't have anybody with 100 authority, since the offline level was a bit bugged at the time, and it's one of the hardest ones to raise after 60 consistently. But what they were trying to do with this outpost is basically make us produce stuff in the outpost. So instead of like having a base that has everything inside, I mean, you can still have the base that has everything inside, but they want to move some of the production, higher level production, to the outside to get a bit more boost of this or boost of that. They want you to move out of the base, to have a base more spread out, so fiefs are not just empty outposts with like 30,000 stone walls, and that's the only thing in the fief. They want to bring a bit more diversity and balance to how you draw your base, to all of that good stuff. There have been some environmental changes as well. So the stump decays kind of improves the promise of the game. So back in the day, you have to go there and uproot the stumps. They have done so that the stumps will automatically disappear. The take horse during the GH is only now in HGH, so you cannot go to other guilds and like during GH grab their horsey and steal their stuff. You have to have an HGH active to do that. Some people think it's a good change, some people hate this change, but I feel it's fair. Either you can take every animal from every coop, barn and stable, or you cannot take none. That makes sense to me. The structures outside, there is a couple more added structures that now decay over time that they used to before. Keep an eye out for that. Stone roads still stay there, so be sure, build your roads. Nobody's gonna be touching those, not even the devs. But do be careful with that, everything that is outside your fief. Some combat enhancements have been done as well, so weapon hitboxes have been refined for better accuracy. Some of the weapons did get like larger hitboxes, some others were a little more precise, or the animations were a bit more brushed up. This includes the Battle Axe, the Nordic Axe, the War Axe, the Morning Star, War Pick, Bear Axe, Shift and Sword, Hunter Axe, Whole Pike, and Bec de Corbin. So all of this has suffered a little bit, so if you're used to how they played in Woodland 3 and you're coming back to Arden, do make sure to check some of these weapons out. Some of them have been better, some of them may have been complaining it's a little bit worse, but mostly the feedback has been good on that front. Siege equipment now is usable anytime, so even outside GH or HGH, you cannot steal horses anymore, but you can go there and movable, set up a gank when the GH starts. You can go gank a base and whatnot. This is something devs want to promote. It's like they don't want bark boxing and table stuff, but if you're using siege equipment, it's fair. Go for it. There is like the couple of new structures, the platforms and the stairs we talked about before. Definitely feel free to use those. Those are really easy to make, and go raid some enemies near you. So another difference between Golden 3 and the new version of Arden is that the items upon death, instead of the items like vanishing into thin air, what happens is that they get 0 durability, so you need to find a way to fix them up if you do die and you manage to get your gear back or you kill an enemy. There's also the same percentage, 10 to 20%, that it will go to 0 durability. But I believe this is a beneficial change to the game. It was really hardcore that you would be able to get so many items destroyed with practicing with friends or a couple of skirmishes with enemies, and other gear that you've been making or they've been making just kind of vanishes. It's a little bit strange. So repair kits right now are not upgrading max durability, which it was in Golden 2. I'm not sure if the devs are going to be fixing this up, or I mean, they were the biggest proponents for it. The last iteration of Golden, they were making sure that this was a thing that we get used to. So we had to go to workbenches to repair gear, spend a few ingots or a few leathers to repair the gear back up, rather than just using a repair kit on it and call it a day. This is kind of a balancing between all the types of repair and stuff. We're not sure what's going to happen in OBT, but we're going to keep our eye open for that. The recipes have changed a little bit as well, and some crafting changes have been done by the devs. One of them is the one that I love a lot when you're mass producing stuff, which is the packs. So right now you have packs of thin leathers, thick leathers, rough leathers, soft thins, all the types of leathers, but you also have like packs of nails, metal bands, metal sheets, metal components. You can see a few of them here on the right. It's real easy to make. They basically require the same level as the original metal bands or metal components or thin leather processing and all that stuff. They get associated with the same level, so you just basically double, not double, 10 times the production of stuff. That's really good, and it's a good quality of life change for the players. The leather production the yield has been doubled, so it's a change also to do with the way they did the snackery. But in this case, you're gonna get twice more leathers than you used to do before. They also added the big rank rack, don't forget. So there were some bugs there with the rank rack with regards to putting 1 and you're getting 10 out and stuff like that. And sometimes it didn't need to stack. Basically, it's what we used to do with the big tubs and like make sure that we had a 10 stack and put it nicely. Sometimes it has been bugging up a bit. They are aware of it and they're going to work on fixing it. They simplified the tier 3 armor crafting, so there's no more need for BPs for tier 3, no regionality, no toughened or Arden armor parts, none of that old silliness. Right now the materials are, you know, a little bit, they're still the same materials with regards to silk and iron and stuff. But they have definitely made it easier to craft tier 3s. They reduced the regular alloy requirements for Vastascus, so if you're doing Knool camps or if you're getting your gold and silver and smacking that up to make Vastascus bars, right now it's 50 less regular alloy, so it's not too bad. They went from 125 irregular alloys required for 1 ingot to 65 or something like that. So it's not the worst. Because they were 75 maybe, 65, 75. Weapons do not require any case hardening or toughening. That was one of the biggest mistakes when I come back, which was like, oh yeah, let me set up some brimstone and rock salt and get some of the cross messers and pikes and all that good stuff with the toughen. Right now that's not necessary, so everything is basically iron, steel, or Vastascus plus the secondary material. It's looking good, and it makes it easier to mass process a lot of stuff for the guildies. The bad news is for some of the mates who like the shiny tabards and the shiny types of armors and stuff, or having no grass in your screens. Sometimes that was an advantage or not for PvP and stuff like that, but right now that's impossible because they've secured all the textures within a CM pack, and from what we understand and ask our good Sir Bogo, all of those have a one-way packing, so if you unpack it or manage to unpack it, then you cannot repack it yourself, so it's good luck with that, but that's not working currently. The location around the game and the map has been a little bit improved. They've updated the user agreement and whatnot. Apparently it likes to pop out every week asking if I still agree with it. The dashboard is also up and running. You can see, you can use it in the link here. I'll put it in the description below. Yep, the dashboard is really nice. It's a little bit different as well. It's also got a little brush up. The safe journey towards Arden. So basically you have like all the servers that you can teleport to. When you go to the green zone and try to teleport, you can see all of these places and where you can go to. Use the map. You can see the time zones and the judgment hours, different zones. But there's also more resources in the main Life is Feudal Discord, and if you ask for a couple of the different maps, they're going to give it to you. Don't forget to redeem all your rewards when you get to the red zone, because if you imagine you come from the newbie island to the green zone and then you redeem your rewards, but then you want to come to the red zone, you'll just drop them in a bag, because if you pick up armors from rewards and stuff like that, it's going to all stay behind you. I'm not sure if that's going to happen in OBT as well, but be careful with that. The changes they have done with the patches and fixes until now with regards to Arden have been trying to fix some of the bugs that used to exist back in the days, but they came back, some of them. So if you have played Arden, but you had a lot of problems going in the beginning, because of the skills resetting, like the passive skill tree raising and all that stuff. Right now that's fixed. That some people still have problems with it, but like right now on death, teleporting, logging, server crossing, you're not gonna get your stats resetted. That's 100% for everybody now. The skill cap and price progression is still messed up for some players. Sometimes I log back in one of my characters, one of the skills has been raising, the other hasn't, or I get the 500,000 instead of the 1 million, but most people have had it fixed. This is only for premium people, obviously, from OBT owners. The farming diversity has been increased, so they add a lot of more farming options to different regions, because some of the regions, for example, didn't have straw, which was kind of problematic to feed all of the animals and stuff like that. They've added that and they balanced that a little bit. The same thing with trees. So right now, depending on the region, you can plant pretty much a shitload of trees with regards to the whitewoods, the amberwoods, and all that stuff. One of the biggest changes they did with the Knools, so they also have a lot of Knools around the map. So since Arden came out, they basically split. Uh, they split the Knools and the normal animal spawns. So basically, we have a lot more Knools around the map. You're going to see a lot of archers, a lot of bears, which is going to be fun when you're AFK riding and you bump into a Knool chieftain straight in the head with a big chieftain sword. But they have increased the spawn a little bit more, and they also made the drop rates for the Essence of Hardness a bit more prevalent, both inside Knool camps by 50% and then outside the Knool camps by 100 compared to previous values. We want to know what the previous values were. We have a rough idea, but those are definitely good changes, just to promote more 80 quality, 100 quality gear, especially the armors, because you need 6 per armor, whatever small essence of hardness or large essence of hardness, you need 6 per armor, while you only need one of the weapon ones to make one, to have one gentleman with one weapon, or 2 weapons, maybe you need 2 of them ready for battle. The items, one of the biggest changes to the forging is that our forging video got completely outdated, because one of the things they want to implement is that you need to basically forge everything. So this means that you'll have iron, steel, and Vostascus caps for everything. So if you watched our blacksmithing video back in the day, you would notice that, you know, the biggest rule I've said over 1.5 hours or whatever long it was that know the difference between smelting and forging. So everything that was made on metal and didn't require like wood or leather or something else, besides armor parts, you could basically just smelt it and you'd get over the iron cap. So 100 quality iron, you put it in the furnace or bloomery, and you could extract 100 quality crucible if you had the skill and all that good stuff. But now that's not working anymore. So now they want to make the forging process a little bit more progressive in a sense, and now to make crucibles, metal bands, metal components, metal sheets, nails, glass blowers, and animal traps and stuff, you need to do them all through forging in either the forging anvil or the blacksmith forge. So yeah, that's a change that some people like, some people don't like. It's gonna mess up a lot of the early rushes for bloomeries and like 100 quality metal sheets to get those going, or yeah, basically the only thing you can take out of there is the anvil and nothing else right now. Conclusion. There will be some significant improvements, both across the PvE stuff with the weapon changes and whatnot. The sieges, I'm still eager to see that and how that's going to be working, the capturing with MOPs, and MOPs being like the forward point, like basically you have to build MOPs if you're going to attack somebody. You're not going to be having onion claims. We're still doing some of the testing with the onion, with the onion layers of a single sword, and see how that is working. We will let you know as soon as we figure that out. Guild management has been a bit optimized as well, but regards to PvP and resources, good changes. Some people do complain the map is a bit bland, which I definitely understand, but it's a little bit much easier to ride, so you know, one thing might compensate the other. And they've been listening to some of the player feedback, like we have had so many bugs reported and so many people kind of coming together to make sure that the devs know about these errors, and they can choose their priority list based on the errors that we've been finding and the bugs and all this stuff. But yeah, be sure to go use the official website with the bug reports, create your bug report, put some screenshots, show what you're interacting with, and then people will upload it if they have the same issue. Besides that, I'll see you guys in Arden, and just a special thank you to our Core Haven's Lord Apache for the amazing arts and designs. That's something that I've been loving, and have a good one. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time, guys.